So here's the presentation. That's all. I think we will not look at all because it will be a too long journey. But you see all of the presentation like a map, first of all. And after, we will dive into the different moments of the presentation. So I will directly start to tell you a bit more about where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the cinema field. I made some short movies, some installations. You see some examples here. I don't know if it's very visible. I will try to zoom, for example, on that one. No, it's not functioning like that. So, for example, that is a piece I made in 1998. It's a train which has 3 16mm projectors, which is projecting one movie, which is going from one car of the train to another, to each projector, and it's a triptych. And it's a triptych in movement, projecting the image of the space we are riding through on the space itself. So it's already some geolocalization in movement, but it's made with analog and old media. But it's sort of a beginning starting point for my own research, which there's another example here, where you have a car with an interactive video installation that's in 2004, which is projecting the image of the space on itself. And you have a wheel down on the, let's say like a periscope, and you can drive the car, but the car is like turning around above your head and projecting some images of the space itself during night, of course only, but it's a space during day protected on night. So you can drive the car and have a direct interaction with images on the space. So that's the kind of project I was doing before I was slipping into the digital world with a research project. Before talking about that, there are some questions I would like to put on the horizon of what I will present here. The first question is that today our tools to make images, to make content, have changed a lot. Even if when we use a camera looks as a camera still. But if you look more in detail, each camera is in fact a computer with an eye. So basically what you do, you digitize an image onto a file, but what the camera is doing is not only creating an image, a content, but it's also creating, as Masaki showed yesterday, some GPS coordinates. You can generate a lot of information on the context where the image is taken. So that is very important to consider, that the today tools to create some content are not the same as 10 years ago, even if they look the same. So some are looking not like cameras, like smartphones, but they're able to take some moving images. So that is one consideration, which was on the starting point of my research project. The other thing is that the relation to the images are changing. That means images are everywhere, potentially, in our pocket, on public screens like here in Shibuya, or here in RONDE, where I conducted the research projects, where it's not images, but people interacting with space and putting some content in the space. Like here are parapluies, umbrellas in a tree. That's for me a sort of example of how people can not only read things from a given space, may it be real or virtual space, but they can write back. They can put some things in the space. That's an important thing, the read and write thing. The other thing, we are surrounded and immersed in a lot of different types of technologies. And we are fragmented. There are a lot of different inputs. And the question is how to keep our concentration towards one thing we want to achieve in a way we can bring it back to the world. We're not stuck in a big flow of information and get lost and forget what we want to do. So the thing is how to appropriate ourselves, the technologies, to bring back our questions to the world in a way it's shareable with other people. That's an important thing. So, based on all those thoughts and questions, in 2007 I was teaching in an art art school in a cinema, and people of the school went to me and said, we have to make some research, please create a research project. I had a white paper, so I had the chance to make anything. So I was thinking, okay, what is happening just now in cinema? Not only cinema, but in the world. We have images everywhere, as I said. Our captation tools changed, and GPS was becoming more usable. At this time, there were no smartphones like the iPhone yet, but you could, in mobility, get access to content through a mobile computer. So my question was, I want to get access to a database of content in the context of the user. And the question was how to generate a story out of this data, this database, and the usage of a space. So the hypothesis of the research project was that a movie is, one of the things of a movie is it's a form. It has a begin, a middle, and an end. It has a structure, and it's a form which tells one other story than the story of the content. But still, we need a form to create a movie. And so my hypothesis was the form of a walk is very close to the form of a movie, because we can specify a begin, a middle, and an end, and a structure of the walk. And in real time, it should be possible to generate a movie out of the form the user generates. So that's the project Walking Get It. I will show a little movie which will explain the project in a 3-minute movie. Sound, please. What works? Okay. I hope you can understand that there are subtitles, so you can read the subtitles to have some. I don't know, my computer don't output sound today. That's Saturday, I don't know. Okay. There are some subtitles, so I hope we can make it to do subtitles. I go again to the movie. I have to perhaps to start to reboot, but we will lose time. Okay. I know it's working now. There. Okay. Okay, once again. It should work.
Louis habite le quartier de l'île 13 à Genève depuis 16 ans. Pour sa maladie, il va pouvoir se replonger dans l'histoire de son quartier du temps des grands travaux, aujourd'hui terminés.
Pioche, les briques de pont arrachées, démolies. Je voulais reconstruire.
Ces sons proviennent d'archives vidéo. À ce stade, Louis ne voit pas encore les images, mais la voix son de la vidéo en rapport avec le lieu où il se trouve. Dans ce temps, un logiciel se charge d'assembler ces séquences. Au final, la balade de Louis va donc devenir un film. Et celui qui a imaginé ce système, c'est le réalisateur ULRICH FISCHER.
Alors vous allez voir le film marché par Louis. Donc sur le site internet du projet, il est possible donc, de voir le film à côté du parcours représenté sur la carte.
À gauche, le parcours de Louis. Et à droite, le film lié à sa balade. Pour l'instant, toutes les vidéos disponibles ont été réalisées par ULRICH.
Travailleuses, travailleurs.
Le but est de pouvoir utiliser une multitude d'images d'archives.
Après, l'idée, c'est de pouvoir travailler avec d'autres bases de données archives, par exemple un isolage du pompier. On peut mettre des incendies qui est sur le territoire, mais on sait pourquoi là, à ce moment-là, il y a un truc, parce que ça brûlait il y a 3 ans. On entend en passant à côté encore le feu qui s'est mis sur le soleil. Et on voit l'incendie filé par le.
Le projet pourrait même avoir une application touristique.
Il peut aussi y avoir une dimension historique, une dimension sociologique, une dimension touristique. Par exemple, imaginez en tant que touriste de marcher à travers une ville et de constituer une carte postale vidéo de son parcours réalisée à partir des scénarios sur touristes.
And I got the best for you.
À la fin de sa balade, Louise peut voir le film directement sur son téléphone. Mais le système ne couvre que quelques quartiers de Genève. Reste donc à convaincre pompiers ou TSR de mettre leurs archives à disposition.
Okay, that was a video made by the Swiss television in 2010. So the research project was between 2008 to 2009. 2009 we had a prototype out, which is basically a mobile app where you just record the track. You don't have to create some content because the content is already existing, as the next screens will show. So we made some implementation in Geneva and Paris. If it's interesting, we can show you some examples on the web from of walked movies, which are out there. So I will just step through some key points to explain a bit more in detail how it's working and the questions I wanted to ask with this project. So, in fact, you have to consider that before the walk, in fact, we have through the city, but we have also a space which is this virtual space with a database of already existing content. And today we are in a moment where there's not a problem of content because humanity is creating more and more content. Each 2 years, the digital content created by humanity is doubling. So the question is more how to connect this content in relation to real world and everyday uses. Not only usages where you're sitting behind a computer, but how to connect this virtual world to the real world in real time, and that people can make something out of that, and that this content, this audiovisual memory, in fact, is telling us stories, but also connecting us again with this space. For example, you can imagine you can walk through the streets of Paris, and you can decide you're interested in hearing what happened in '68 when there were the Mai 68, and you can hear students going through the streets, and you're with them today. They're not here anymore, of course, but you can with the images, with the soundtrack of those images, and you know that the sound you're hearing is coming from the place you're going through. So that's an important thing, that the memory is part of the real world. And that's possible today just by giving some spatial address to each image. So you have all the bubbles. I represent images as bubbles. And the more bubbles are on space, the better this experience should be. Because if you have only 3 bubbles of content, you have always the same content. So you have to have a lot of content. So the question is how to connect this content to the world. And the thing we build up is that we need words, descriptions, and information to connect this visual content with the world. So basically we use what's called metadata, which describe the content with keywords, tags, taxonomies, with geolocalization, with GPS coordinates, And once that is done, a system, an informatic system, can, with those words, combine content together in a way that makes sense with the usage and with a story. That was also the key research question. So in fact, as I said, the smartphone is recording the walk. The smartphone is basically a player which records, digitizes your walk with the GPS, but also we are now adding other sensors like accelerometer, like the compass. It could be also other type of sensors with open data, whatever, just to be very accurate in the context and the behavior of each user. And in real time, the movie is generated, and you can see the movie like this attack of bubbles coming to you. In fact, this is a temporal map of processes, which is an editing process, where you have the future before you, which are this amount of bubbles which is coming to you, and the timeline you see in the middle is in fact the present, where the future is coming to you and coming under you. In a way you have the playhead, and the movie is straight in real time. You see the form of the movie while walking, and if you change your behavior, the form of the movie will change. Meaning, if you begin to run, the bubbles will become more tiny, more little, because the algorithm maps your behavior with the length of the content. If you stop still, you will have longer pieces of content for interviews, for example. So, in fact, the user is a creator of the form of the movie, while the content already existing is coming up in this form the user creates in real time. And so you have your experience. It's in two types. The first thing is the experience in situation, in real time. You hear only the movie. And once you've generated the form, your track, your trace, in fact it's a playlist, you can watch a movie as it was shown on the little video. You can see it directly on your smartphone. And if you like it, you can share and push it to the web. In fact, you're just pushing a playlist to a server, and the server presents, like shown here, the track, which is here, which is with a little bubble with a playhead on the map, which is where the person is going through, and that's synchronized to the movie. Perhaps I can show you perhaps in the end a real world image. If you have some questions, if things are not very clear, please ask, or it's okay. Okay. So that's basically the project we did in 2009, and after I was implementing that in several cities, and there are some examples here. Perhaps I can click on I don't know if it's working or something. Or hit the link. So I will go a bit further, and for me the question which is coming out of the discussion we had here since yesterday, it's a bit on the horizon for me. The persistence of the experience is not only based on a one-time experience, but it's in a way the question for me is how an artwork can become a tool to generate new artworks. That's for me the question we have today, because we're not only using things which are one way. We not only read a medium, but we interact with the medium where we can read and write. And because we can write, this medium is not only a thing where we are passive, but we can have a feedback, which can be only the trace. Basically, you create the trace, which is, you cannot say you are an artist because you walked, but you generated something which is your story. But we could say to ourselves, you do not only record a trace, but you can also record content, where you push your own content over the trace to the territory and become content creator as any other content creator. So those questions opening new new boxes. In fact, that's one thing is important, that the urban space is not only what we see, but there are a lot of invisible things where we interact with. We have here a lot of examples. But it's important for me, not to overwhelm each user with a lot of new content where he has to choose, as he has to choose in a real world what he wants to do with goals. But ideally for me, the interaction with the digital world should not be like an augmented space where everything is accessible and you have to choose again. But in a way to diminish that those this information load, and to structure that into a story. That's in fact one of the hidden goals of this project. Is in fact you can take the system a bit like a search engine, which is not computing a request on a query, but it's computing an answer out of a form. And this form is the behavior. So in fact what you access to, you don't see it, but it's translated through sound. You can imagine. And once you imagine, you get an experience. And after you can visualize that in this virtual space, a website, and share it in real world. And as I said before, this is very important that you not only read out of what others left for you, like publicity, but you can also write back and write your own stories, your own content, your own whatever. This content is connectable to the world, not only the closed structure you will put the world as a movie or whatever. And the goal of the tool is also to manage not only the outputs but also the users, meaning you're able to, like an urbanist, to structure the way the people interact within a space. So that's the goal of the tool, and we created that tool, which is basically a backend, which is an asset management platform, software, where you upload content, you index content, you make it available over the web. Basically, you add some metadata, and you answer to questions: who did that, where, when, what it's about, what are the important things in each specific image, and not on a movie. That's an important thing to consider to understand, that the system is designed to work not with edited movies, but with raw footage. That's an important thing. After you have a management console, which is an admin console, a bit like Dropbox, where you administrate the projects, you administrate users, give them rights, so you're able to set up projects, and to administrate how the content will be usable through different ways, maybe mobile mobility or maybe global. And there are some front-end developments where you have three examples here. You have a mobile app, which is on the left, where you just can walk and create a generated movie in real time. And there you have our design of our application, which is still in development, which is not on App Store yet. The possibility is also to bring on a tablet map, and where that's in the south of Paris, it's a cité universitaire where you can walk in front of some buildings and you can have some content. You can click on and have some more information about the content of the question you're interested in. It's more in a point and click form. And the other way on the right, it's a new version of our player where you have the path, the uploaded path, connected to the movie. And you can see in a data visualization form the results of this recorded experience, this walk movie. And once people interact with the system, they live, as I said, in two moments the experience. First is on site, not necessarily online, but on site. And after, off-site, online, they can access to the memory they went through, and they generated all these things, and they can have access to that and share it with others, thus creating a new piece in the world, which is static, sites and the content map on how many territories. For the moment, there are around 10 adaptations in the world. There's Montreal, Paris, Bagnols-sur-Cèze, which is a little French city. That's a touristic adaptation. There's Geneva, there's Zurich, Basel, Marseille, Biarritz. Places where I went to the project and I made a little prototype. So the places which were there, Brussels too, each time it was a specific, like a festival. I went to the festival, like in Montreal, I was invited, and I made a little adaptation with my mobile phone. I just went during 5 hours, I made some footage. I indexed that to our system. The day after, I had a mobile app where I can, which I could give to the people, and the people who just went through the place I was just visiting the day before, and get some story based on the footage I just created before. So this kind of project I built up more in a prototype mode. And now the question is how to put it in a way that anybody could use the system and add his own content, his own silo, his own desire of project.
And the memo ways, so it's very new.
Sorry?
The memo way?
Yeah.
Ways?
Memo ways, yeah.
It's under construction?
No, it's there. We have if I had internet, I could show you some examples. Now I just made a memory. In fact, it's a startup, a company, where we create this video cloud tool with both backend and front-end software. And basically, the user interacts through the front-end video player, which enables him to navigate through a feed of video. In fact, what we are considering video not as a static file, where you get always the same result. You have to compare this video of today as with a PDF on a website. It's not evolutive, it's not dynamic, it's not changing. And but the rest of the way is dynamic. So the question is how to structure video a bit like a feed of tweets or the Facebook wall, where you have something which is generated out of the database, which makes sense with your question, with your context, which is really adapting to you, and you can also interact with this if the project suits to a specific kind of interaction. So in fact, basically, it's to think about a project like separating the content with functions, or from the functions, and from the visualization. Meaning, when you make projects today, you embed the content with the function in the form. When you make a web project, you embed everything. And there, the thing is to work on the content, to specify the content as it is, as for the content in an absolute way, in a way. You specify some functions to push the specific content through the function in a form which it's adapting to what you want to propose to the world. Maybe a mobile app like Audio Guide, or maybe a video player where you can just navigate through a feed of videos. It's like building modules. And the important thing on web today is, for me, coming from the cinema, that editing is not made by wiring together things in a hard-coded way, but it's connecting silos through APIs, through connectors, which are able to connect web services together in